Tandem Nomads, episode 181. Don't lose this opportunity, Nomad Nation. This is your chance to find your business idea now. Yes, even in the middle of a crisis. Hello, Nomad Nation. Welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great inspiration and tips to grow a successful portable business and thrive in your global nomadic life. This is your host, Emel Deregi. I'm a business and marketing coach and the founder of Tandem Nomads. I am today going to talk about something really important. During the time I'm recording this episode, we are still not completely done with this crazy pandemic. But most importantly, our economy has been hit by the consequences of lockdown. And you might be one of those who have been contemplating for a while starting your own business. But now you are having cold feet, aren't you? Wondering if this is the right time to start a business when so many other businesses are closing down or struggling. Well, this is today the time where I hope you will realize that there's no better chance for you than today to find the right business idea if you don't have it, but also to start it if you already have one. And if you already have a business, well, this episode hopefully will also give you some ideas to develop maybe new offers in your business. So I want to share with you today 5 reasons why this is the perfect time for you to find a great business idea. I want to specifically to talk to all of you who have been contemplating for a long time about should I or should I not start a business, and if I should, what would be that idea? You might have started and tested different things, but nothing came up. And you might be doubting, am I really ready for this? So if you're asking yourself, am I ready to start my own business even if I don't have a business idea yet? Then I invite you to go to the show notes of this episode where I prepared for you a very short test. It will take you 1 minute probably to figure out if this is the time for you. So go to tandemnomads.com/181 and there you will find the link to do this little test that will tell you if you are ready to start a business even if you don't have the idea yet. Go to tandemnomads.com/181. So, as I said, in this episode, I will give you 5 reasons why the market is ready for you. You might not be ready, but the market is ready for new business ideas to emerge. I can tell you that for sure. And here is the first reason. Reason number 1 is that some of the most successful businesses were in fact launched in the middle of an economic crisis. I am going to give you some examples of really famous companies that I'm sure you know, but you would be surprised that they were started during the recession times. The first one is Airbnb. Who doesn't know Airbnb? Airbnb started in 2007-2008 during the financial crisis, as well as Uber. So these 2 companies that you know of are great examples of how a crisis could be a great moment to actually get started and get the momentum you need. There's another company for those of you who already have a business and might be familiar with, such as MailChimp or Slack. These are 2 companies that existed, were founded, for example, MailChimp during the first crisis of 2001, and then had to pivot their business model in 2009, and that actually led to an explosion of their business, a huge growth. Same for Slack. Slack was originally another company, and they had to pivot in 2007-2008 to be able to survive, and at the end they had a much bigger success than what they had before this crisis. So why does it happen that some businesses during crisis get so successful suddenly? And what can it tell you for you when you look for your business idea? Because during a crisis, there's so many new needs that emerge that did not exist before. I can give you the example during this pandemic, for instance. If you are a parent, you must know it or even use these services of tutoring, for example. So many parents got so overwhelmed. Parents who never thought to hire a tutor started doing it during this pandemic. And here is another problem that has emerged during the pandemic for those who needed to see a doctor but couldn't go to their doctor or to their hospital if they were not emergencies, but still needed to take care of it. So during this time, I have been fascinated to observe the growth of a company called ZocDoc. ZocDoc initially is a platform that allows you to schedule an appointment with doctors. It's first of all allows you to find doctors and schedule an appointment with them directly on their platform. But during this time, they also needed to pivot, and they have brought a solution that nobody has thought about at the time. They made their platform very quickly available for virtual consultations and created a special tool for doctors to be able to consult their patients online. Who would have thought that? So you can see how new needs can emerge from a crisis. And the question for you is going to be, what are the needs and the new emerging problems and challenges that you can solve with a business idea? And here's the thing that you might tell me, but I'm not a big tech company and I cannot do this. I'm not huge. And what I want is a small business, something that I can take with me. So I'm not looking for these huge businesses. Hold on there. Guess what? If it is the time for these businesses to grow at a big level because they're big corporations or became big corporations, it will be even easier at a smaller level for you, because as a small business, you have so much more flexibility than those big companies. And I'm sure that you could observe around you a lot of examples of very small business owners or freelancers that emerged from this crisis, like I said, such as tutors, yoga teachers, even food planners. So these are just a few examples of things that I have seen around me. So the key thing here for you, for this reason number one, is to ask yourself, what problems are you seeing emerging around you that you can solve? And if you ask yourself this question, you will probably find a list of ideas for you. Don't look at how you can fix them for now. You're looking for a business idea, so start first by thinking big and not limiting yourself. Just think about all those problems that you see around you. Then afterwards, you can think about how you can solve them and how you can turn this into a viable business idea. And by the way, this is maybe the time where I should announce that the Business Idea Accelerator is going to come up very soon. So make sure to stay tuned into the podcast and sign up to the Tandem Nomads newsletter to let you know when we will open the door of this program that has already been so successful with many participants. In case you have never heard about the Business Idea Accelerator program before, this program is designed to help you find the right business idea for you, but also know how to formulate it, how to build the solution, and test it before you launch to make sure that it is a viable business idea. If this is something that sounds exciting and interesting to you, then I highly recommend you, as I said, to sign up to Tandem Nomads newsletter to make sure that you get all the information when we open this program. But before that, I invite you to take the test that I specifically prepared for today's episode on tandemnomads.com/181. And by the way, there's a simple way to sign up to the newsletter is by ticking the box when you take the test. I will ask you if you want to receive the newsletter. So simply tick that box and I will make sure to let you know when we open the doors of this program. All right, so I shared with you the reason number one why this is the perfect time for you to look for the right business idea for you, even in the middle of a pandemic. And here is the second reason why this is the perfect time for you. Well, guess what? A lot of people might be thinking like you. Is this the right time to start a business? Or is it the right time to even promote my business if I have one? So a lot of people are actually not taking the courage to show up during these times, which means that you will get much less competition now than ever before. So don't be that person who shies away and backs off. No matter if you're looking for a business idea, ready to launch, or you already have a business, this is not the time to shy. This is the opposite. This is the time to take the opportunities that this crisis is offering you to build a business that is really relevant to these times by figuring out what problem again you can solve. So if you want to rise from the market and make a difference and really become the business to go to with less competition, you should definitely consider starting working on it right now, before all the businesses start waking up and taking actions. The third reason that I think is really important and very critical to understand is the fact that consumers are not necessarily stopping from consuming during a crisis. They are simply changing the way they consume. And I have a great example for you with the company Airbnb. And actually, I am going to link into the show notes of this episode the interview with the founder of Airbnb who explained what has happened with Airbnb during this crisis. So I'm pretty sure that you heard that the hospitality industry was completely crushed because of the pandemic and the lockdown. And Airbnb was one of those companies that really had a 80% or 90% drop of their revenue in just few weeks. That is huge and scary. But guess what? Airbnb realized very quickly that once the shock was past of that lockdown, what has happened is that people were starting to look for a different experience and a different way of consuming leisure. And to be even more precise, you might have experienced it yourself during the lockdown. A lot of people, especially those who live in big cities like New York, where I live, a lot of people are actually leaving the big cities and looking for accommodations in the nature, in the farms, in the woods, by the beach during the summer. So while Airbnb's businesses dropped very quickly, what they have seen is not only an increase few weeks later, because a lot of people started understanding that they can work remotely from anywhere and they don't need to stay at home. And they started looking for locations to stay for longer time than before. Most Airbnbs before were rented for couple days. And now Airbnb is seeing more and more rentals for weeks or even months. And now Airbnb is actually doing really well. So if you want to hear more of this story and the details, the numbers, it's really fascinating. I have a podcast show that I listen to that's called NPR, which is an American public radio. They also have their podcast, and I will link that episode in the show notes of this episode. It's really fascinating. So this is just an example to show you how people are actually simply consuming things in a different way with a different perspective. And if you pay attention to that, then suddenly you will probably start finding amazing new ideas. So look at what are the new problems emerging, like I said before, but also what are the new habits, what are the new consumption behaviors that you are seeing for yourself, the people around you, and the people you want to serve. That is a great way to start looking for business ideas. Now, reason number 4 of why this is the perfect time to start looking for your business idea is that, in fact, I do have to admit that it does sometimes take a lot of time before a business is successful. And maybe, in fact, that during the crisis, it's not the right time to launch a business because the clients are not ready. However, it is still the perfect time to start because, as I said, it takes time. So you can use the downtime to build the right foundations and then be ready before everyone else when things get better. You want to start building your audience, you want to start building your relationships, doing your market research, and everything that needs to be done to set up the foundation of the business so that everything is already ready when the market starts picking up. And I'm pretty sure it will start picking up much faster than we think, especially if we consider some of the points I mentioned before, and if you are cautious and doing your market research properly to see how our consumers' behavior is changing and how our new needs emerging. So if you pay attention to that while still considering some of your areas of expertise and where you want to start a business, then make sure to start now. Don't wait for the market to get better, because by then, a lot of people who would have similar ideas than you would have already started while you would be looking at it and slowly trying to build those foundations that might take you years before you do that. So I hope that you will take the time to consider this. If you are looking for a business idea, make sure to start now. And if you can't launch soon, then make sure to do the market research and build those foundations as soon as you can. And this is as well something we cover in the business idea program on how to do that. But for now, as I said, just simply start looking at those first ideas that come up to you. And here is now the fifth reason why I think this pandemic is actually the perfect time to look for your business idea. And it is kind of a little bit my favorite. I'm going to tell you that it has been nearly now soon, 5 years that I started Tandem Nomads. And when I started, and even recently, I had to do so much work and convincing to a lot of people to prove to them that any business can be done remotely. And guess what? Nowadays, you will not have this barrier anymore. Now more than ever, any business can be portable, virtual, and allowing you to work remotely from anywhere. And if you are part of the Tandem Nomads community for a long time, and especially if you are a global nomad and if you're an expat spouse and looking to build a portable business and a portable career, something that you can take with you no matter where you live, but also something that allows you to work virtually and remotely and have the flexibility to manage your time as you wish. Especially for now, I'm thinking about all of you parents who also have to homeschool or manage a lot of things from home. Then this is the perfect time for you, because no matter what business idea you come up with, that barrier of doing it remotely is not there anymore. People's behaviors are changing and people are accepting to consume services remotely. So for that, I'm going to give you the example of doctors and appointments. So I gave you before the example of ZocDoc. And I will also link to the show notes of this episode the interview of ZocDoc founder on NPR as well. And you will see it's also a fascinating story. So just in a nutshell, it was created in 2007, but ZocDoc started really making real profit only by 2019. But during this pandemic, because they came up with this virtual solution, everything has changed. And the biggest change that has happened is the fact that not only patients started accepting doing virtual consultations, but also doctors. And I have to tell you, personally, I was amazed that even after the lockdown, I was so busy at some point. I was in the middle of a launch and I was so busy, but I had a little problem and I wanted to make sure that it was nothing serious. So I called my doctor, and although the lockdown is sort of over now, My doctor accepted to have a virtual consultation with me because he realized it's completely possible to do it. I am sure that my doctor would have never accepted to do it before. I would certainly have done it because I am very familiar with portability and very much willing to try out things virtually. But I was so excited to see my doctor doing it and actually enjoying it because suddenly there's no more of these waiting times, there's no more transportation time, there is no more all these things that happen that you lose time as well as the doctor. So efficiency has been reached for everybody. And of course, as he said, if it was then something serious, I would have had to go to his office, might even have to do some tests before and then go to his office. What is happening now is making me so excited because now, more than ever, people will be willing to take your offer, no matter if it's offline or online, and especially if it is virtual, because people are starting to see the benefits of virtual solutions instead of having to go somewhere or meet somewhere or deal with all the aspects of offline businesses. So this is your time, Nomad Nation. This is your time to take action. Don't lose this opportunity to actually turn all these challenges into a great way for you to find the perfect business idea for you. Don't wait any longer, because if you do, there will be a lot of other people who would have started before you do when the market will be ready to actually flourish. All right, I have shared with you now these 5 reasons why I think this is the perfect time for you to start thinking and looking for your business idea so that you can be ready to launch it very soon, either now or you would have worked on the foundations now. And if you are still doubting if you are ready to start your business, don't forget to take the test, the little quiz that I prepared for you, to know if this is the right time for you to start a business, even if you don't have a business idea yet. So go to tandemnomads.com/181 to take the test, and also sign up to the newsletter if you want to learn more about the Business Idea Accelerator program that will open in the fall. And before I say goodbye, I want to know which one of these 5 reasons have resonated with you the most. Let me know in the comment section of this episode in the same link as the one I mentioned before. All right, I hope that you found great inspiration here to get started and start thinking about your business idea and how you can bring it to reality. See you in the next episode, and stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.